At this point, I realized I probably should have done an intro for this video. So, hi peeps, I'm Phil from Rising Sun Guitar Mods. In this video, I'm going to show you a basic coil split, a little bit of tone control rewiring so that you've got a little bit more versatility in a Stratocaster guitar. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, so what we have here is Stu's lovely Stratocaster. What are we doing with this today? Well, Stu brought this to me a while back, and the bridge pickup was pretty well had it. It sounded like it had a broken coil wire or something like that. So I pulled it apart, and to my shock and horror, this here is what the wiring looked like. Holy f***. So I rewired it like this. Much better. This is the pickup that went into it. It's called an afterburner. It's a bridge pickup. This sounds great. I had no dramas with this. However, I can't coil split it. Stu was keen to get a coil split into this guitar so he could play with a bit of tone. He also liked the chrome covers. These ones. And I couldn't find a chrome cover with the correct spacing for that. We thought we'd put in a new pickup, chrome covers, that can be coil split. What's gone in there is this guy. A Grosh. I don't know about Grosh pickups. I never used them, I've never heard them. This is a first for me. It's in there, sounds good, does the job we need it to do. So, I don't know, I'm not a pickup snob. If it sounds cool, it sounds cool. If it sounds crap, it sounds crap. So what have we got set up here? What I've done is the bridge pickup, the humbucker, can be split with the second tone button here. It's just a push-pull, simple stuff. You've seen it a million times before. Up, it runs the adjustable pole pieces. Down, it's a humbucker. The tone also is for the humbucker and the split. First tone is for the middle pickup and the neck pickup. When you're on the neck, tone works for the neck. In those three positions, this tone controls these two. When you're down in your lead position at number 4, this tone controls the middle pickup, this tone controls the bridge pickup. When you're down, it's all bridge pickup down here. So, here's some pretty versatile sounds out of it. Let's get to pulling this puppy apart and having a look in the guts, and I'll show you through what we do with it.
So here we're just doing the standard tear down. You've seen this plenty of times as well. Rip the strings down. I'm going to save these strings because they're only just on at last setup, so they've not really even been played in. Typical, taking the scratch plate off. When I do my wiring jobs, I like to keep my wiring as clean as possible so that when it comes to doing upgrades or changing things around a bit, it's nice and easy. There's no point in wrapping wires around terminals that you just don't need to. It makes it difficult for the next guy. I'll pop the schematic for the wiring that I did up on screen here in a minute. I also put a link to a good page down in the description if you're interested. This is loosely what I based it on. There is a couple of differences here though. I individually wired my tone pots so that I could put different capacitors on each tone. And I also have a 500k pot in the volume and a 500k pot on the bridge pickup. The pot for the single coils is a 250k, and the orange drop capacitors are a U.022, 0.047. You might also notice that I stripped the wires on the pickup and retinned them, getting them ready. I did these with the colour combo, assuming it might be similar to a Seymour Duncan. I couldn't find any wiring colour diagrams for these pickups online. I probably should have got my multimeter out and figured out which was my north and south and which coils were which. I didn't, and it stuffed me up later on, so I had to pull it all out and do it all again. I'll run through how to do that testing a little bit later on. Here I'm just trying to figure out the height that pot needs to come through, and attaching my orange drops. The orange drops caps, I quite like them. I don't know if there's any difference in tone with your caps. If there is, I can't hear it really. I like the orange drops. It just feels like they're doing something, I guess. I do believe though that the roll off is different. And just putting it all back together. I did have a problem here with the pickup fitting properly. The back of the pickup route needs to be made a little bit bigger because it sort of sits hard on the back of the Strat. It's not ideal, but we weren't going to do any routing to this body, so I'll leave that one in Stu's hands. Whether he wants to look at routing that body out a little bit more or not, that's entirely up to him. Not my decision to make. So here we are back at the pickups and doing them properly again. So let's slow this down a little bit now so we can talk through it. So what I'm doing here is restripping the wires. Now the way that you test these is you get your multimeter and you put it onto the 20k ohms. Then you touch two wires with your positive and negative leads. So for instance, you go say green and black, touch the black with the black and the red with the green, or whatever you like. Just touch two of the wires. If you get a reading, then those are associated with the same coil in your pickup, in your humbucker. If you don't get a reading, then they are different coils. So that's how you pair up. Then to find out which is your north and south, or your positive and negative, what you need to do is a bit tricky without alligator clips. Little clips to clip your wires up would be a lot easier, but I figured I had to do it with one hand here. So what you need to do is put your black terminal on the grounding wire and then touch another wire with your positive. But then what you've got to do is you need something like a screwdriver to then tap the poles on your pickup, and that, once you figure out which coil you're on, that will tell you whether you have a positive or negative. You've got to put your multimeter around into 20 volts, and then once you touch, if the reading changes to a positive, then it's your positive terminal. If it goes down to a negative, then it's your negative terminal. If it does nothing, you're probably tapping the wrong coil, but worth knowing. The most difficult part here was getting my multimeter terminals on the wires properly, because like I said, I didn't have alligator clips, and that just kind of, it was a bit shitty. Kind of sucked a bit. But we got there in the end. A little bit frustrating, but sorted. Now putting it all back together, I like to use a nice long screwdriver when I'm doing pick guards. What it helps to do is it helps you keep your screwdriver straight. It stops you from stripping screws. I don't mind if you use electric ones, it doesn't bother me as long as you're bloody careful, especially if it's not your guitar. Here I am just tuning it up. What I do here is I do notice that maybe the saddle's moved when I had it apart, I'm not sure, but the radius was all messed up. So I gave it a new setup. I did tweak the neck earlier off camera. Did the intonation and got it all sorted. And now we're back in playing. Back to the knob, telling you about the guitar.
So let's talk about this guitar then, shall we? It's a gorgeous Stratocaster, has a 60th anniversary neck on it, has the silver decal on it, it's got the Fender locking tuners, it's got a skunk stripe, and the unique thing about this cool neck is it's got PowerShell inlays. PowerShell, what's PowerShell, you ask? Well, Australians call it abalone. I don't know what you call it in America. It's a little shellfish. It's kind of black, sticks to the rock. You peel it off the rock, eat it. The body is off a Jeff Beck signature model. Now, obviously the Jeff Beck signature model has the single coil pickups in it. This one's had a modified plate put in it. When it got to me, it was, as you saw, in absolute shambles.
Maybe we'll start with clean. That's the humbucker in position there. If we pop her up, you'll hear it split, so. jingly Strat sound. Pretty cool. Nice thing is you can get quite versatile with it. So once we're in position 4, you can roll off a bit of tone.
So that's it for my first video, guys. I hope you found it useful and maybe you learned something. If not, leave a comment and maybe I can learn something. More than happy to open a discussion with this guitar and get your opinions on what works, what doesn't work for you. This is just what I enjoy doing, so it's not like this is how you need to do it. This was just a video showing you how I do it. So if you liked it, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I can make some more content. And maybe, well, the jokes might get better, maybe. Anyway, deal.